Electrada is a Cincinnati-based electric mobility company. We came into operation in the midst of the pandemic last April, and we've been growing our footprint here in our region by providing reliable, ubiquitous electric vehicle charging infrastructure. Our goal is to see every community to be connected by reliable, clean electric transportation. Well, we're a very proud sponsor of Green Energy Ohio EV Tour this year, and we're happy to represent Electrada in both Dayton and Cincinnati today. It's great to just be together with so many organizations and entrepreneurs who believe that electric mobility is here and needs to be enabled. The EV drivers who have brought their vehicles for ride and drives here today at the zoo, and just to feel the pulse and enthusiasm for electric transportation in our region. That's a great question. We fully expect at least 100 or so electric vehicle models to come to the U.S. market in the next 2 to 3 years. That means that a lot more people will be able to afford an electric vehicle, will be afford to transition from the from the internal combustion engine to the electric vehicle sooner. They will be at various price points. They will fit people's tastes and expectations in terms of the types of models that they want to drive. So we see the future over the next 5 years as being very bright. And we certainly feel that the need to have that reliable charging infrastructure in place is very urgent for this transition to take place. Electrada is a local turnkey solution provider for electric vehicle charging infrastructure. We partner with public and private entities in residential, workplace, fleet, and public segments. So we're here to serve different segments of the market with a reliable turnkey solution.
So Solar Energy Solutions is a full turnkey solar installation company. We do residential systems, commercial systems, agriculture, industrial, sort of solar fields. We kind of do all of the solar. We also are a Tesla Powerwall certified installer, so we do battery backup for all the solar. And that's basically all that we do. We just 100% work on solar, and we're dedicated to it. So the Powerwall is really kind of a game changer in solar batteries. Before, you definitely had batteries, but they were basically only for backup. So the more you use them, the faster they sort of went bad. With the Powerwall, it's designed to be used. Also, with older batteries, you needed a special inverter, which is the piece of equipment that takes the direct current that the system produces and changes it into AC. So with the Tesla Powerwall, it has its own small inverter in it, so it doesn't need to have a special inverter. So you just, whatever inverter came with your system, this Powerwall can be sort of added to the system later. So a lot of the problem before was you had to know you wanted to have batteries in the future, and then you had to buy a more expensive piece of equipment. Now with the Tesla Powerwall, like I said, it's meant to be used. So it has unlimited cycles, and it has a 10-year warranty. For that 10-year period, it's got unlimited cycles. You can set it to use as much of the solar power as you possibly can. You can set it to maximize economy, and that's mostly for places where you have time of use rates, so it's really expensive to take power at like noon, but it's really cheap to pull power from the grid at 3 o'clock in the morning. The Tesla Powerwall will balance that. And you can kind of decide that you want to use part of it, at night, so you're using more renewable energy, and save 20% in case of a sort of unforeseen outage. But the Powerwall also connects to the National Energy Service. So if it sees some really inclement weather coming where there may be outages, it will just override that and charge all the way up to 100% until that has passed. So it's really, and you can control it all with the same app that controls the Tesla that you see your Tesla car on. So you'll know when power's coming from the battery, when power's coming from the solar, when power's coming from the grid, and where it's going. So it's real easy and very transparent for people to understand. But Green Energy Ohio is a great group. The thing, with electric vehicles is they are so much better for the environment, even if you're not powering them solar. Obviously, we would like to have you power them with solar. But even so, there's far less emissions that comes from, the energy that's created in a regular fossil fuel power plant than there is when you're using an internal combustion engine. Most of that is like the particulate matter that comes out of the exhaust that you breathe into your lungs. But yeah, it's just so much better. And so, yeah, I love kind of getting out here. I wish it was a slightly better day. But I like getting out here and just talking to people about EVs and solar, because I have an EV, and it's really fun to drive. It's really, I think once people experience it, it's just a lot of fun. They're real zippy and just fun.
So this is the 2021 Audi e-tron, and it is our essentially base model, which is called the Premium. So it doesn't have any of those added features, but it's fully loaded still for an EV. The range is about 222 on a good day, and it has 402 horsepower. It has a towing capacity of 4,000, which is impressive for an EV. It has recoup. It has the ability to fast charge, a normal charge with a 120 or 110, and then a 220. And yeah, it's great. It has all the great Audi features, but just made EV. First, test drive the vehicle, because the feeling of this, just the EV feel along with our Quattro, it's the smoothest riding vehicle, I would say, in our Audi lineup, comparable to all of them, honestly. Another thing is, if you're driving around town, that recoup, you're basically not going to lose any mileage for the range, which is impressive. Like, I left the dealership 2 hours ago and my range was at 206, and I'm only at 195, and that's impressive. And I've probably driven almost 40 miles, so I would say that in itself. But also the ability to just charge while you're at home, charge while you're out. Cincinnati's having a lot more chargers put in, so it's really accessible now. One thing that's really great with Audis is the Bang & Olufsen sound system, which is incredible. But you'll have Sirius, your FM, you're able to store favorites, as well as you have your Bluetooth for the media and phone. Our navigation system is very high-tech and incredible. Like, when you're searching, a keyboard appears. You can scribble to get to your destinations and all that great stuff. You would have the wireless CarPlay or Android Auto, which is accessible by plugging in. The vehicle shows so many great features. One of the very impressive things with Audi is going to be our Audi Drive Select. Off-road, all-road, efficiency, comfort, auto, dynamic, and individual. Most cars don't ever offer that many options for how you like your drive. Efficiency is really great because we're in an EV, so you want the most range possible. But also, say if you switch to off-road, you're going to feel that vehicle raise. So like, that's really great for wintertime with snow and gaining that traction, especially with that Quattro ride. But then if you go into dynamic, do you feel the car like lifting? And
I did.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you go into dynamic, it's going to lower it to almost the lowest possibility to really get all that dynamic feel and make it efficient with the wind and all that great stuff.
Cool.
Which is really interesting.
Cool.
Weird to feel it all go. So we'll jump back to efficiency. Then you also have vehicle data, which is great. You have a range mode that is going to essentially turn off anything that's not needed. So that range went up to 203 from 195. So it turned off the climate control. It's going to drop that top speed and really make it just the most efficient it can possibly be. As well as the vehicle data, we also have the charging and efficiency, so you can really get a feel for what that battery is charging to, which is really unique, just to see that output and input.
We are a team at UC dedicated to designing, building, and racing a car powered solely by solar electric energy. We're going through the design cycle now. We have preliminary models to do stress analysis and aerodynamic analysis. Our electrical team is working on battery design and management for that, so we can begin circuit testing. And we aim to begin fabrication when the fall semester starts. The goal for the team is a legacy. I want to see Bearcat Solar Car be a 30-year program. I want to be something that engineering students and other students will see that this university does and decide, UC backs green energy, backs innovation, I want to go there. That's the grand goal of the team. For this design cycle, I want to see us actually compete, make it through scrutineering, and once we get to green flag conditions, I'll call it a win. Even better if we can finish. So the first competition will be July 22. That will be the Formula Sun Grand Prix. It's think like a 24-hour of Le Mans. It is a endurance race held on a closed racetrack. Pending the results of that, we will follow on to the American Solar Challenge, which will be held that year. And that is a cross-country road race. Think like a Tour de France with checkpoints and stages. And that'll be our first race. I think what we'll see more of is similar to what we have here at the zoo with solar-powered parking shades and EV charging stations. I don't think in 10 years we might get there for purely solar EV. The downside is these cars are quite large, and the amount of power that we get from the sun is only about a horsepower, and that's not really enough for a highway car. For a city car, it's totally fine. And there may be a market for that, suburban commuters. But for interstates, we would need either bigger batteries, better solar, and with pace change of technology, we might actually make it in 15 years. So we are on Facebook at University of Cincinnati Bearcat Solar Car. If you just search Bearcat Solar Car, that'll pull us up. Same thing for Instagram and LinkedIn. We have accounts there. And we have a GoFundMe account. That's the way that we are doing this for small donations. We are running an Adopt a Cell campaign. There are hundreds of solar cells and battery cells, and $20 in the GoFundMe will get your name attached to one of those cells. We also have a sponsorship package for corporate donations, large amounts. If you're interested, get a hold of us through social media, say you're interested in donating, and we will absolutely get back to you.
Drive Electric Cincinnati is actually a group of electric vehicle enthusiasts who love to share our experience about driving electric, because electric cars are fantastic cars. They're super fun to drive, they're safe, they're clean, they're quiet, and for many people that have, maybe heard about electric cars but don't know much about them, it's way easier just to chat with somebody who's already an electric car owner than like going out and searching the internet and doing a bunch of research. So we try to make it easy to just connect with existing EV owners to answer all the questions you might have about driving electric. So a common question is, how much range does an electric car have? And the answer is actually plenty for a daily driver. Pretty much any electric car these days will have over 200 miles of range, and typical commute is only about 30 miles. So you can just use any EV as a daily driver, and it works great, and it's much cheaper to fuel and much less maintenance. So it works great for that. Then for road trips, you might want to look at an EV that has a 300-mile range. And the most complicated thing about EVs actually is charging. So that's kind of the second question that I'll get is, how do I charge it? If you can charge at home, that's by far the best way. It's actually a better experience than going to the gas station, because you just plug in when you get home for the day and unplug in the morning, and you drive away with a full tank. It's much better than spending time at gas stations. So Green Energy Ohio has done a great job of actually putting this together to publicize the fact that EVs have really arrived. If you look at the row of EVs that we had lined up here today, We had, basically, 8 electric cars, all different price points and body styles. And so they are actually showing with this EV tour that the vehicles are here. They have enough range to drive zigzagging all over the state. The infrastructure to charge them is there. The zoo here has 8 solar-powered EV chargers that are available for visitors. So this is just one of dozens of charging locations in Cincinnati. They're often tucked away in places people don't notice them, but they're there. And as an EV owner, it's actually much more convenient to find charging than people assume. One of the barriers for folks historically has been the first electric cars had limited range, and they were pretty much all sedans. So what's really changed now recently is that manufacturers are coming out with many more EV models in many more body styles. So you can get an electric SUV, you can get a hybrid electric, plug-in electric minivan, and there are half a dozen of electric trucks that are coming on the market this year and next. So great news for having more needs to be met with electric vehicles that are coming available in the market.